Candidates Forum for East and West Lane County Commissioners. This is the 28th program in our 2021-22 programming year. I'm Kitty Piercy, and I'm the City Club President, and as I always say, I'm proud of it. Support for the City Club is provided by our members and sponsors. You can become a member of the City Club at our website, cityclubofeugene.org. This program is live streamed on our YouTube channel and archived there, and on our Facebook page. Our podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Programs are broadcast on public radio station KLCC on Monday nights at 7 p.m. We have both business and in-kind sponsors. Our diamond sponsors are Kaiser Permanente, University of Oregon, Peace Health, and Lane Community College. And we get generous support from the City of Eugene and from Lane County. Our format today includes a question and answer period with City Club members and non-members alike via live stream and text. The texting number to submit your question will appear at the bottom of your screen during the intermission and the Q&A segment. In today's forum for the East and West Lane County Commissioners, the candidates for the West Lane Commissioner seat are Ryan Senega, Terry Doomman, Misty Frost, and Don Leslie. And for East Lane seat, Kyle Blaine and Heather Buck. We also want to thank our moderator, Rachel McDonald. Biographical information on our speakers is available on our website, cityclubofeugene.org. I'd like to thank Joel Korn for coordinating today's program. Questions should be written out on cards provided at your table or at your seat. Hold the card up and someone will collect it. If you are watching the live stream, questions may be texted to the number that appears at the bottom of the screen when questioning begins. All questions are screened for fairness. Ms. McDonald of KLCC will have the ultimate say in which questions get asked. Okay, I'm turning this over to Rachel. And I'm going to give her this mic. I get asked to do one thing.
No worries. Hi, everyone. I'm KLCC News Director Rachel McDonald. Thanks for being here at the City Club of Eugene Forum with Lane County Commissioner candidates. Let's go over the rules and then we'll get started. First, we'll give each candidate 2 minutes for an opening statement. Then we'll get into the questions. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer questions, which we will pose in order, but with a different candidate answering first each time. We have a limited amount of time, so please be attentive to our timekeeper, Skip. And audience questions can be submitted to Mary Layton, who will be looking for raised hands during the program. At the end of the program, each candidate will have 1 minute for a closing statement. All right, let's get started. And we'll start with you, Misty Fox. The cost of rent and home ownership has grown enormously here in Lane County over the past several years. Oh, I'm so sorry. We can cut that out, right? Go ahead with your opening statement, please. Misty Fox, who's running for West Lane County Commissioner.
Hello there. I am Misty Fox. I am a local resident. I grew up in Triangle Lake. I currently live in Deadwood, graduated from Junction City High School. Lane County is my home. It's going to be where I decide to live the rest of my life, and I figured since we have some issues here in the county that I should step up and try to fix those issues. I'm very passionate about our community and helping the issues like crime, homelessness, and other stuff that's plaguing our areas. And so I will work hard to get that taken care of for us. I like to get out and speak to everybody individually, face to face, and find out what your concerns are. As a county commissioner, we are supposed to be a representative of the people. And in order to do that, we need to know what your issues are by speaking to you and being your voice. I take a different stance than most people do. I have a no-nonsense, tough-on attitude with crime. I support our local law enforcement, and I believe that we need to boost our sheriff's department. I also like getting out in nature, foraging. I collect rocks. I spend a lot of money on rocks. It's just something I do. Protecting our environment is very important to me. One of the issues that I am working on is Horton Mill Pond and saving that as the system that it has created, a natural environment for the last 40 years, 50 years, and keeping herbicide spraying out of our clear cuts.
All right, now we'll hear from Don Leslie, also running for Wesleyan County Commissioner.
Thank you to the City Club and KLCC for creating this important opportunity to advance democracy and for inviting me to participate. I am Dawn Leslie. I'm running for Wesleyan County Commissioner out of a fierce sense of urgency. As an engineer working on sustainable water and energy projects these last 27 years, I can no longer pretend that work is enough to address the critical challenges facing our community. The COVID-19 pandemic, impacts of climate change, wages that don't keep up with the cost of living, lack of affordable housing, inequitable public safety and health care, and lack of rural access to broadband internet service. But the thing that most endangers us is our current inability to talk with each other and work together across political and social divides. We must work together to cooperate on humane, creative solutions to the problems we face. I have been impressed with the efforts of most of our local commissioners to increase affordable housing access, to effectively manage health policies in a pandemic, and to respond to the increasing numbers of climate-related disasters we face, such as wildfires, flooding, and drought. I believe they represent how a team of elected officials can function with great effectiveness, and I look forward to furthering these efforts if elected. I have also been concerned with the divisive rhetoric and obstructionist actions I've often observed from the current Wesleyan County Commissioner at board meetings and out in the community. I believe that it is a leader's responsibility to focus on areas of agreement and bring people together to solve problems, not highlight disagreements and create roadblocks to progress. We need leaders in government who believe in government and believe that we have an important role in society, not leaders who have an ideological stake in seeing government fail. I am running because we need someone representing Wesleyan County who is focused on where we agree and how we can best solve problems together. As a consulting engineer and scientist, my main jobs are solving problems using data and finding agreement among diverse groups of people with differing perspectives and interests. I also have to be excellent at asking questions, listening to the answers, and explaining processes in a way that makes sense to everyone at the table, and bringing projects to completion on time and on budget. These skills are directly applicable to the position.
Dawn. All right, it's your turn. Terry Doomman, running
Hi.
for Wesleyan County.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Terry Doomman, candidate for Wesleyan County Commission. I'm a third-generation Florence native. After returning home from the military, I started a small business path. I have commercial fished, logged, farmed, been a developer, and currently my road building company employs 20-plus people in the Florence-Mapleton area. I'm also chair of the Siuslaw Port Commission, serving my third term. My decision to run for this position was easy to make. I'm tired of no support for rural Lane County, a place I've lived for the last 65 years. I understand my friends and neighbors' frustrations of receiving little county support. We send our taxpayers' money over the hill and get very little in return. We need a little bit of everything in West Lane, including rural police protection and patrol, and a resident deputy. A 2-hour wait times for officer response is not acceptable. When I call that cop, by the time they get there, it's done. There's nothing to report. We need funding for mental health crisis and outreach programs and services for our residents. The recent pandemic has shown us that we need to increase internet services to all of rural Lane County. It's time to get the county building and planning department equipped to accept permits and applications electronically. The county needs to modify density requirements and zoning for all areas. It's a great way to ease the housing shortage. In short, we need a little of everything. As a commissioner, it'll be my job to hear your voice, open the door for you, and be your advocate. We're public servants. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. We'll hear now from Ryan Seneca, who's also running for Wesleyan County Commissioner.
My name is Ryan Seneca, and I'm running for Wesleyan County Commissioner. I'm also a third-generation Oregonian. I've been in West Lane for almost 40 years now. I live in Junction City. That's where I was born and raised. Went to school there. That's where I met my wife, my high school sweetheart. We just celebrated 20 years. We have 2 daughters, 13 and 15, that are currently going to the same school that we met in. So I've got deep ties here to Wesleyan County, and I'm very passionate about running for this county commissioner position. Our rural voice does need to be heard. As it was mentioned, our sheriff response times when we live outside of the city limits you can't have an hour response time for a sheriff to go to Walton when there's an emergency right then and there. We need transparency. I've been knocking on doors and calling everybody I can find. Everybody gets my phone number, and when they call, I answer, and we talk about these problems. We've been to every Grange that has offered to have us, and you can tell our rural communities felt unheard, and that's what I'm running for. Thanks.
All right, now we'll get to the candidates for East Lane County, and we'll start with Kyle Blaine. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kyle Blaine. I'm running for East Lane County Commissioner, District 5. I come from a blue-collar family who spent years wading through the county's expensive planning and building process. I grew up here in Lane County working with my dad swinging a hammer. I then moved into timberland management and research and development in a sawmill, creating innovative products that are still used throughout the U.S. In the real estate world, I know how to help people achieve their dreams of home ownership. I'm a real estate lender focusing on residential and commercial development. When I was a kid, I used to ride the river trails and play basketball at the parks downtown. As a father of 4, I would not allow my kids to do that today. Our city parks and trails are not safe. We have a public safety crisis, a homeless crisis, a mental health crisis that needs to be addressed. We're currently spending millions and millions of dollars on the homeless crisis, and I'm not seeing a return on that investment. Homeless has turned into a little bit of a microeconomy with no end game and no expected results. We have to prioritize and restore funding for sheriff's office and prosecutors by trimming pet projects and excessive office budgets, and focus on federal timberlands that are meant to bring revenue into the sheriff's department and maintain our roads. We currently have anywhere from 3 to 4 deputies on the road at any given time in a county the size of Connecticut. The people that feel this the most are our rural community members. I've been on the Cova City Council the past 4 years, which has given me a lot of practical experience running a city. Not a single business closed during the COVID lockdowns. We created 3 new neighborhoods and have brought 107 acres of employment lands into the city, which will help reduce utility costs to our citizens. I will work to provide affordable housing, remove barriers and regulations on building time and regulations that building time and consuming expensive processes. I will work to increase the supply of buildable lands and make it easier for citizens to build on their own land. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's time for Heather Buck, running for East Lane County Commissioner.
Thank you, City Club members, for hosting this forum today. I did not know that I was going to become a county commissioner, but it was in my background and my experience and my desire for change in Lane County that led me to this office in 2019. When I stepped in, not only was the county faced with natural disasters, but then COVID-19 hit, and then the pandemic coupled with a mega fire that destroyed hundreds of homes and destabilized lives. Throughout these major events, I utilized my position to ensure that we received Critical Cares Act funding and American Rescue Plan funding. I worked with 2 emergency operations centers and set aside politics to work with mayors and local leaders to publicize dependable public health information because every second mattered. During the aftermath, I worked with an incident command team, the Oregon Office of Emergency Management, and FEMA to protect the lives of Lane County residents. I successfully secured $27.5 million from the Oregon Legislature's 2021 Special Committee on Wildfire Recovery, another $5 million in the 2022 short session for emergency communications, and waived over $1 million in commercial and residential permit fee waivers for those looking to rebuild. While rebuilding and restoring the McKenzie River area is a continuing effort of mine, I'm also focused on housing affordability, solutions for our unsheltered neighbors, and strengthening public safety. Beyond the commission, I'm a mother, I'm a military spouse, and I'm a housing advocate. I was born and raised in rural Lane County to a single working mom. I spent my professional career running a small business specializing in affordable housing and worked as a special projects director for St. Vincent de Paul of Lane County.
Thank you. Now we'll get into questions, and we're going to start with you, Don Leslie. The cost of rent and homeownership has grown enormously here in Lane County over the past several years. What can county government do to help improve housing inventory and affordability?
Thank you for that question. We've been underbuilding housing in Oregon for 40 years, and the situation has reached crisis proportions. Half of the unhoused people in Lane County have jobs, but their wages are insufficient to rent even the smallest apartment. Chronically unhoused folks, whether or not they started with mental health and substance abuse issues, now have those mixed in, and we need to address that. I have been impressed with many of the recent efforts made by Lane County to address the affordable housing crisis, repurposing hotels and other existing buildings, ensuring that low-income units are included in new development, supporting public-private partnerships like Square One Village's Peace Village, and collaborating with the City of Eugene to build permanent supportive housing like the Nell at 11th and Charlton. However, more needs to be done. Affordable housing is not just a problem in Eugene and Springfield, it's hurting all the rural areas and small towns throughout Lane County. I would look forward as a member of the commission to fully implement the county's very good affordable housing plan, especially the rural-facing portions. And I also support the state's current investigation of Vermont's successful home share program.
Thank you. And now, Terry, again, the question is, what can the county government do to help improve housing inventory and affordability?
Okay, thank you.
Closer to the mic, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. The main thing we need to do is improve our county staff to streamline the permit process. Right now, it's going to take someone 6 to 8 months to get a permit to build a house. That's 6 or 8 months, and they get backlogged. Everything gets backed up. If we can improve that permit process, we get people building houses, we get wood sold, we get people back to work, we get people that are homeless that actually get jobs to work building those houses. Another thing I've been real high on my campaign is ADUs and developer tax breaks. City of Florence, I don't know about the other counties, I'm not that familiar, has a program where they're going to give a developer 10 years tax-free on the improvements they build on a piece of land. They don't get the tax break for the property, just for the improvements they put on that. That's going to provide low-income housing, affordable housing, more housing. F2 land zone, it's been a big debate. The county commission just had a big session with it. We need to open up the F2 land zone. That's a good defensible space for fire breaks between the prime forest and the residential. We learned that in Vita Fire.
Thank you. Now, Ryan, again, the question is, what can the county do to help improve housing inventory and affordability?
Well, we need to look at infill, for one. Let's start with, we have open lots around Eugene. Let's put houses in those. And part of that is that HB 2001, where we can turn R1 into, we can have extra ADUs on that in town. But we need to expand that to our rural county areas. If you've got a couple acres and you'd like to put a house on there, a hardship or whatever, the county needs to work with you. So that is an option. It needs to be looked at as revenue. Every time you put another house on a piece of property, that property now becomes worth more. That's a taxable lot. We could get into the permitting and availability for permits. I would like to see the permitting office and department turn more into a let's work with you, yes, we can do that. We've been to a lot of these different meetings and met with people, and people are frustrated with the answers they get. First response is no, or that's going to be really hard. And it might be hard, but that's our job, is to work with these people and get that kind of stuff done. Thank you.
And Ryan, now the same question, I'm sorry, Kyle, the same question for you. What can the county government do to help improve housing inventory and affordability?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as most people know, we're at a 16,000 plus homes underbuilt currently for our demand. I think a lot of that has to do with the additional regulations and the barriers it takes to actually build something. Coming from the background of building homes and understanding that process and working with the county, it's just gotten more time consuming, takes longer. I mean, the SDC costs alone are in the $30,000 range for a basic home. You have to tack that on, plus material costs and everything else. You have to jump through all these hoops to build. I think we need to make it easier on our residents. I think we need to make it easier on our developers, and I think we need to start thinking long-term transitional neighborhoods where you have apartments into townhomes into single-family living, and actually find a way to create true middle-income housing. Subsidized housing is great, and it helps a need, but right now we have nothing in the middle, and that needs to change.
All right, Heather Buck, it's your turn. You want me to restate? What can the county do to improve housing inventory and affordability?
Thank you. The county needs to implement our Affordable Housing Action Plan. We're well underway of putting together phases to include additional housing at various levels. Now, the 16,400 additional homes that we truly need in our community are primarily for those that are under 100% average median income, meaning these are folks that are very low income population, and they need assistance in order to really, truly afford housing in Lane County. The Affordable Housing Action Plan helped put together by Better Housing Together is a roadmap in order to do that. There are lots of different options like community land trusts that we can invest in. We can invest in rural innovation and invite businesses to the table, because it has to be everybody in the community solving this.
Thank you. And Misty, again, the question is, what can county government do to help improve housing inventory and affordability?
So the county needs to go through and update its outdated building laws so that people can build on their empty lots. We need to go through and cut the red tape on the permitting process and possibly get other office locations. Having to drive from Florence or Oak Ridge to Eugene to get a permit multiple times is, hurting the people from being able to do it efficiently. Cutting the red tape so that they can build on their property. If they have a piece of land that can hold multiple homes, they should be able to do that. The restrictions on those lands being usable is, it's outdated. We need to update that, system so that people can build more homes on their property. And we need to cut the red tape, make the permitting process much easier for everybody. I don't understand the restrictions that keep us from building when there's a house shortage.
Thank you. Now we'll get to the next question, and we're going to start with you, Terry. How well do you think Lane County has handled the COVID-19 pandemic, and what do you think could or should have been done differently?
Boy, that's a ball of worms.
1 minute.
Thank you. Lane County did what they could. We were thrust into a position, We were thrust into a position, it come on pretty quickly. No one had prepared for this pandemic. If we'd have had preparation for it, Lane County should have had better communication efforts, mainly with rural Lane County. People in rural Lane County, we're stuck in the cold out there. We didn't get the information even that the people in the metropolitan areas received. One thing they could have done better with the mandates, if we're going to have mandates, and it's not my job as a county commissioner to decide whether we're going to have mandates or not, but we could have done it by zip code. There's times in my area where I live, we didn't have the problems that they have in the metropolitan area. So that would be the two things I would probably strive, would be communication. Look, going forward, we know what to expect. This is going to happen again, more than likely. I don't know if the mandates will come with it. I don't have children in school. My grandkids hated the mask mandates, and I sympathize with them. But that's a school district policy there. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, the question is, how well do you think Lane County has handled the COVID-19 pandemic, and what could have been done differently? And Ryan, it's your turn for that one.
Well, I think we all learned a lot in a short amount of time. Taking all this on, I believe a lot of people were doing the best they could. Lane County went along with state regulations, and due to funding and things, I understand their stance. I'm a member of the Junction City School Board, and these are pretty hot topics at the school board meetings. I mean, we had the packed school board rooms and everything. And we sent out polling to the parents, like, what would you guys like to see? Because we don't have all the answers. We're here to represent you guys. And we went off the numbers. If our main goal was to keep kids in school, and that, as a board, that's what we did. And our board worked great together. We kept kids in school. And I think if this comes back around, like there's some people saying it might, I think we've got a head start on the problem already.
Thank you. And again, the question, and Kyle, it's your turn to talk about how well Lane County handled the COVID-19 pandemic and what could or should have been done differently.
Yeah, I mean, I think as was mentioned, it's one of those incredibly difficult situations that most people did not see coming. Ultimately, when it comes to the mandates and kind of what needed or should have been done, I mean, I'm a believer that choice should be up to the people, and I think ultimately that took far too long to come to fruition. I think listening to our citizens, I mean, watching some of those meetings, their citizens were upset, and I think there's a lot of lack of acknowledging even the fact that they were upset. And I think, overall, at the beginning, it was scary, and I think a lot of people struggled with it, and I completely understand that. But if we look at the long-term effects of what it's doing to the school children and the masks and missing school for a year, having young boys, it's not a good long-term thing, and I think we needed to think long-term in that approach, not that short-term gap. So, I think it definitely went well, but I think it could have been better.
Thank you. Heather, again, what do you think, how well do you think Lane County handled the COVID-19 pandemic, and what could or should have been done differently?
I was chair of the Board of Commissioners during 2020 when the pandemic hit. And it was amazing how fast and quickly the county responded. We opened our first emergency operations center just before the announcement because there were signs that the emergency services saw coming our way. In addition, I was able to stand up with both the mayors of Eugene and Springfield at the time. We did weekly Facebook Live updates to the media, as well as the community, to give the most important and updated information we knew at the time. The volunteers that spent time all week long, all summer long, and doing vaccines when they came out were truly incredible. They deserve our utmost respect. We went with the information we were provided by the state at the time. We do have new things we know now.
Thank you. Misty, how well do you think Lane County has handled the COVID-19 pandemic, and what could or should have been done differently?
Well, I think the county straight up jumped out of the frying pan straight into the fire. We now know that the CDC and other agencies are backtracking on the data that they have given out to us. I think ultimately it comes down to the citizens' decision. We are responsible for our own health. Mandating somebody to do something with their body is wrong. Mandating somebody to do something with their business is wrong. It hurt our communities. It shut down a lot of small businesses, and I don't agree with that. We need to start following actual science, not political science.
Dawn, Leslie, again, how well do you think Lane County has handled the COVID-19 pandemic, and what could or should have been done differently?
Thank you for that important question. The COVID-19 pandemic has been hard on individuals, families, businesses, and our entire community. Difficult situation. The county responded, I believe, well and quickly and clearly, providing science-based information to the community. Clear professional information was quickly conveyed. Regular updates were provided along the way. Funding was secured to help businesses stay afloat. And I was particularly impressed with the vaccine clinics that were efficient and available not only in Eugene and Springfield, but out in Florence and in multiple cities around the district. There could have been maybe some better penetration or accessibility for those vaccination opportunities farther out in the rural areas. And also one thing that could have been improved was the distribution of the unemployment benefits that came from the federal and state resources that could have gotten to people faster and made that easier for folks.
Thank you. All right, the next question will start with you, Brian. Lane County experienced the devastating Holiday Farm fire in 2020, which destroyed hundreds of homes in the Mackenzie River corridor. How well do you think the county responded and is helping with the recovery, and what would you do to improve the response if you were in this position?
First thing I would do would be to, back to permitting, open up our permitting department. Give them more leeway to make these kind of decisions. I would simplify it, go by footprint. If there was a footprint there, then you can build back. It would not be the time that I would start trying to change floodplains and stuff like that. And in those kind of disasters, people are dealing with so much to begin with. I think being there with them, talking with them, cards, phone numbers, helping them, answering as many questions as you can. And if you don't know the answers, you have the resources. That's part of this commissioner position. You get the answers. I would just be as transparent as I could and build those relationships so those people knew that they could come to me with these issues and we would get to the bottom of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Kyle, again, evaluate the response to the Holiday Farm fire and recovery, and what you might do to improve response if you were in this position.
Yeah, so I've spent a lot of time up there touring properties, getting to know some of the families and people that were directly affected, lost their homes, lost everything. There's a lot of frustration out there, and a lot of it has to do with the additional regulation that's been added to them, floodplain stuff, geotechnical surveys, that's made it harder. Not to mention, to get to the permit waivers, it took months to do so when Marion County, just north of us, did it almost immediately. That's time that those people don't get back, especially when they're dealing with insurance that has typically a 2-year window to get those homes rebuilt and to utilize those funds, or they're gone. And I've met a number of people up there that are right on that cusp right now. We only have 8% of our homes rebuilt up in that area, and that's absolutely embarrassing. I think that we needed to absolutely change that, be more aggressive, do whatever we could to get people through that process, because they lost literally everything they have. So.
Okay, Heather, and again, looking at the county's response to the Holiday Farm fire and recovery.
At the time we were opening our second emergency operations center, as we mentioned earlier, we had our first one open for the pandemic and our second one opened instantly. The response from our emergency management team, sheriff, and all first responders were incredible and swift. In the months after, I worked with the state legislature to get through red tape on land use restrictions that would hinder redevelopment. That was very important, and they passed those red tape cutting land use issues in the 2021 Wildfire Response Committee that I testified in. In addition, we had Facebook Live sessions with first responders. We did waive permit fees. We were out in the community. These people have really experienced the most incredible trauma of their lives, and I am deeply, deeply invested in their rebuilding and recovery.
Thank you. Misty, again, the question is how Lane County responded to the Holiday Farm fire and recovery, and what you might do to improve on that.
The county responded to the holiday fire by increasing regulation on people that lost their homes. They had to get ecological surveys done and a bunch of red tape that has prevented a lot of people from being able to build back. And we need to fix that. We don't make new rules right in the middle of a disaster. We get in there and we help those people get their homes built back the way they were. They had a house there before, they ought to be allowed to have that same house put back. The fact that the county went in and redid a bunch of stuff and prevented people from being able to do that has forced a lot of people to have to sell their property and move out of state. I have personally talked to people who are no longer able to build back on their property due to the regulations that have been put on them recently, and they have sold their property and moved out of state. We need to get in there and fix that issue. We need to help those people build back what they had there before.
Thank you. And Dawn, again, looking at the Holiday Farm fire response and recovery.
The Holiday Farm fire was a disaster on top of a disaster. I was absolutely impressed and continue to be grateful to the emergency management teams, the first responders, the sheriffs, the volunteers, the people who jumped into action immediately, saving lives, helping people get the services that they need. Also, county leadership repurposing a hotel to provide shelter for folks who needed a temporary place to stay. All of that emergency response was impressive, as demonstrated by accolades we've heard from city officials in that area. In rebuilding, red tape was reduced, fee waivers were issued to the tune of over $1 million, and it is appropriate in rebuilding from a disaster to consider changing regulations in ways that reduce the likelihood of a future similar disaster. If you don't learn from an experience, you are doomed to repeat it. So I think it makes sense to consider what improvements need to be made going forward. Some folks haven't rebuilt because they have chosen not to.
Okay, thank you. And Terry, again, evaluating the Holiday Farm fire response and recovery.
Yeah, I got to see firsthand. I got to see firsthand as I worked for the industrial side of the cleanup. The Holiday Farm fire, the county was a little late in reducing the restrictions. We've all harped on that. It took the county 7 weeks to ease the floodplain restriction on the homes on the river 7 weeks after the state had already authorized it. The county needs to do better for those residents. Temporary housing should have and could have been provided in a more timelier manner. I know they went through and they did this. They got a motel or two and they converted them to temporary housing. FEMA has trailers available for this. The right person should have rolled up their sleeve and said, let's get some of those trailers in place on county property. It was heartwarming to see the private businesses and individuals step up to the plate and provide services. Guarantee rolling a trailer out. We've seen it delivered to a family that had no place to go to, so they delivered. The county should have been the leader in that. They need to do more.
Thank you. Next question, and we're going to start with you, Kyle. How do you see Lane County's economic situation currently as businesses continue to rebound from the pandemic? And are there opportunities to draw in more businesses or promote further tourism beyond immediate things like events like the World Track and Field Championships?
Yeah, a lot of small businesses were hurt during the pandemic. And that's unfortunate, and a lot of them probably won't come back. They can't make it work. I think it's incredibly expensive and time-consuming to actually go through the process of starting a business here locally, from buying the property, if you do so, from the leases to what you can and can't do within that building. It's something that we need to work on. We need to find ways to attract business here, attract economic activity here. Our downtown core has struggled. We have for lease signs in our Broadway areas, and that's a big issue when your downtown core can't supply businesses and have people down there spending time and money. And I think that we need to absolutely look at finding ways to be more proactive in that approach and find long-term, good, solid businesses and really support our local small businesses any possible way we can by reducing some of those burdens. Thank you.
Thank you. And Heather, again, the question is how you see Lane County's economic situation currently as businesses continue to rebound from the pandemic, and are there ways to draw in more businesses or promote more tourism?
I'm happy to see the rebound occurring. We do know that some businesses were not able to reopen in the aftermath of COVID-19, and we need to provide ways in which new small businesses can grow and thrive. I had a small business here for 15 years, so I know what it means to start out in a room in your house and grow and get into a stick-built and offer services to the general public. It's tough. It's really tough, but we are expanding ways in which we can help and assist economic development, especially in rural areas. One of the items that I'm really passionate about for small business is rural broadband. We are being left out in the rural areas in the 21st century economic development department without access to rural broadband. You must have it. It is an essential service just to keep businesses afloat.
Thank you. Misty, again, how you see Lane County's economic situation as businesses continue to rebound from the pandemic, and are there opportunities to draw in more business or promote more tourism?
I see the struggle. I get out there and I talk with the small business owners, and they are struggling. Part of the reason why they're struggling is the constant constant increasing of taxes and the restrictions. We need to cut the red tape, let them build on property that is empty so that, that property can be used. Encourage them to come to our communities and run businesses there. We need to, allow businesses to run the way they need to in our county by reducing the taxes on them, reducing the restrictions, quit forcing them out of our county.
Thank you. Dawn, again, how you see Lane County's economic situation and the rebound from the pandemic, and how to encourage more businesses.
I want to emphasize 3 ways to stimulate middle-income jobs locally. First will be to improve rural broadband internet service. Everyone trying to conduct business in Lane County, even farmers, need internet access, and it's just not universally available in the rural parts of Lane County. A second good jobs focus will be local agriculture. Growing and processing food and beverages is one of Lane County's strengths. In 2014, I convened a meeting of local food growers and producers to discuss barriers to growing their businesses. Workforce, housing, land, and access to capital were some of the barriers they described. If I am fortunate enough to win this seat, I'll look forward to continuing that conversation and finding ways to work together to remove those barriers. A third good job creator will be to bring a modular home manufacturing facility to Lane County. I'll be advocating for Junction City as my favorite site. Taking advantage of modern building technology, this innovative process produces modular homes quickly and affordably. If we manage to site it here, it will be a boon both to job growth and relieving the housing shortage.
Thank you. And Terry, again, looking at the economic recovery in Lane County and how we can promote more business.
Lane County, the city of Florence, I should say, we have what we call a regional area innovative, regional area innovative process, RAIN program. And it works in conjunction. What it does, it takes small business owners by the hand, pairs them with people in the professional and the educational districts in the Eugene area, the University of Oregon, and it helps promote how do you get your business started, how do you become a small business. I have a small business background. Florence actually has had an increase in tourism through the pandemic, following the pandemic, but with that comes other problems. We have housing shortages for our employees. We can't find people to work. And that's probably one of the biggest things that we have going is that we can't find a place for our employees to work. Solving that is going to help the crisis that we have.
Thank you.
Business. Thank you.
Okay, so we have time for one more question, and I'm so sorry, Ryan. Go ahead. Ryan, again, the question is about the economic situation and rebounding from the pandemic and how to promote more businesses, and my apologies.
I've been to a handful of these small business groups and these starter groups. And what a great resource these small business owners are. They have a lot of outside-the-box thinking. That's why they're business owners. And I hear more often than not, they don't feel valued in Lane County. They're working hard. You saw these businesses, whether it was food or what have you, stay afloat during the pandemic. The ones that stayed open were the ones that were working the hardest. They were thinking outside the box. That's where all the different takeout things came, and you saw the Uber Eats and all these things started up. And I think we need to listen to the small businesses and ask, what can we do to keep more of you guys here? We don't want you picking up, starting here, and moving to Texas because it's easier to work in Texas. We'd like you to stay here in Lane County. What can we do? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And we are out of time for questions. That went really fast. And we're going to go into closing statements. And Heather, we're going to start with you and go back the other way. So you'll have 1 minute for your closing. Heather Buck, running for East Lane County Commissioner.
Thank you again, City Club members, for hosting the forum today. During my time on the County Commission, I've been able to get work done on so many fronts. It is also through the collaboration and support of endorsers like Peter DeFazio, Ron Wyden, Jeff Merkley, and all of the elected mayors in my district that I've been able to maintain this kind of momentum. I've been able to lift up local workers and ensure that jobs stay here in Lane County, and I've been supported by the Eugene realtors and unions such as SEIU, ASME, AFL-CIO, and many more. I'm dedicated to rebuilding and recovery upriver from the Holiday Farm Fire, fully implementing the county's Affordable Housing Action Plan, and building upon the momentum of recent historical investments in public safety. With your support and vote, I can continue this critical work that truly affects the everyday lives of residents in Lane County. Thank you, and I hope I can earn your vote on May 17th.
And now we'll hear from Kyle Blaine, your closing statement as candidate for East Lane County Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you all for having us today. I just want to say, growing up here, being a part of the county, small businesses in my past, and working through, our housing crisis, our homeless crisis, our public safety crisis, I think we definitely need to change and kind of look at long-term goals versus these short-term gaps that we're filling. Housing's one of those where we need mental health treatment centers, drug treatment centers. Putting somebody in a house isn't always going to be the fix when they're unable to do so. I think we need to figure out ways to actually support our sheriffs and prosecutors' offices, alleviate some of that pressure on our rural citizens that are feeling that pain of crime out in their areas, and find a way to actually give long-term funding to our public safety. Not to mention allowing our businesses and developers to actually build and create opportunities for housing and for new innovative businesses throughout our community. And I think we can do a lot better job in that regard. So thank you, and I look forward to earning your vote.
Thanks, and now Ryan Seneca, your closing statement, candidate for West Lane County Commissioner.
Yeah, thanks for having us here this afternoon. I know these events take a lot of time and effort. I'm asking for your vote because we need people that can cross the lines. Lane County is a big county. You heard earlier, it's the size of the state of Connecticut. We've got Eugene, we have Florence, we have Mapleton, Walton. We need people that understand. They can take our rural communities and mix them with our big cities. I mean, right now, you go to these rural communities and they feel like they don't have a voice at all, that their vote doesn't count. And I want to be the representation for them. I want to make them feel heard and let them know they are being heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Now Terry Doomman, who is also running for Wesleyan County Commissioner.
Throughout my years in Florence, I've watched the county reduce its level of service to Wesleyan County. Our population has grown, but we've lost our resources. We used to have a courthouse annex building in Florence, which gave us nursing services and the planning department, among other programs and resources. I'm tired of seeing our boat ramps, parks, and sanitation facilities closed. It's my job to hear your voice, be your advocate, and help the county provide support to our Wesleyan County communities. Our concerns are different than the bigger parts of this county. We deserve more, and I can represent you in working toward this. The county should be a leader in services like mental health services, housing and homelessness, supporting appropriate land use and enough police presence in the smaller communities. It's hard to recruit employees, let alone keep them for any period of time. I can provide the link for services that we desperately need in rural Lane County. Everyone's voice is important, and I can be the voice to get our needs met. I'm Terry Doomman. I'm asking for your vote for Wesleyan County Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Don Leslie, it's time for your closing statement as a candidate for Wesleyan County Commissioner.
Thank you to the City Club for the opportunity to participate in this important event. We all want a healthy, vibrant community where everyone has a safe place to lay their head at night, where folks have access to meaningful work with family supportive wages, where our kids have economic opportunities right here near home, and they feel excited and hopeful about our future, where we're taking action to mitigate climate change impacts, and we're taking care of each other. Unlike many statements going out in mailers and forums lately, this is not urban versus rural. In order for urban areas to thrive, our rural areas must be thriving. And in order for our rural areas to move forward into a vibrant, healthy future, our urban areas must be doing well. Pitting our communities against each other only results in everyone losing. And the way we win is to win together. We differ over some details for how we're going to move forward, but it starts with listening to each other and looking for points of agreement. This is the process I've been involved in during my 27 years in engineering and my lifetime efforts as an active community volunteer, and it's how I intend to lead if I am fortunate enough to win election as the next Wesleyan County Commissioner.
Thank you. And Misty Fox, your chance to give a closing statement as a candidate for Wesleyan County Commissioner.
I am Misty Fox. I'm asking for your vote as Wesleyan County Commissioner because I believe I have what it takes to bridge the gap between rural Lane County and the urban Lane County. I am not a politician. I am not backed by any politician or big business that has their sticky fingers in our county's budget. I cannot be bought and paid for. I will get a complete audit of our county's finances and see where our money is being wasted and put it back to where it is intended to be. I will get our mental hospital up and running to its full capacity, deputies in our rural parts of our county so our rural county does not suffer with crime and lack of law enforcement out there. I will address the inhumane throwing money at the homeless issue and actually get some hardcore results in helping them. Right now what we're doing is basically throwing money at it, and that is inhumane. There has been no solution to the issue.
Thank you to all the candidates, and thanks for participating in our program.
Yeah, let's give them a hand. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here and sharing your points of view. This has been our April 29th, 2022 program, a candidates forum for East and West Lane County Commissioners. One of many for them, I think. Before we thank our speakers today again, I'd like to recognize our diamond sponsors. Kaiser Permanente exists to provide high-quality, affordable healthcare services and to improve the health of our members and the communities we serve. More information is available at www.kp.org. The University of Oregon has helped Oregonians question critically, think logically, reason effectively, communicate clearly, act creatively, and live ethically since 1876. Get more information at uoregon.edu. Peace Health has been proud to serve Eugene, Lane County, and beyond as your hometown healthcare partner for more than 80 years. The Peace Health mission is to keep you and your family healthy. Learn more at peacehealth.org. Lane Community College transforms lives through learning. LCC provides comprehensive, accessible, high-quality educational opportunities that promote student success. For more information, visit lanecc.edu. We are grateful for generous support from the City of Eugene and from Blaine County. I also would like to acknowledge our sapphire sponsor. Support comes from Bennett and Dean Real Estate, a full-service real estate brokerage offering a comprehensive range of services for buying or selling a Lane County residence. And I heard today we want more of those residences. So, for more information, visit bennettdean.com. Today's gold sponsors are Drs. Fine, Hoffman, and Sims, and Hirschner and Hunter Attorneys at Law. Thank you to our in-kind sponsors, KRVM, 91.9 Radio, PAC Info, and Simplified Computing LLC, and Dawson's Photography. And a special thank you to public radio station KLCC-FM 89.7 for airing City Club programs on Mondays at 7. Our programs are always available on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and our podcast. We invite everyone, members and non-members, to participate in the programs in person at our new venue, the First United Methodist Church at 1376 Olive, or by live stream on your YouTube page. More information is on our website, cityclubofeugene.org. Next week, we will be hosting the Republican primary candidates running for Oregon House District 12 and Oregon House District 14. More details and information about future programs can be found online at the City Club's website, cityclubofeugene.org. Now I'd like to thank, and really thank, our guests today, Ryan Sinigat, Terry Doomman, Misty Fox, Dawn Leslie, Kyle Blaine, and Heather Buck for a great program and for putting yourselves out there. It's not easy, and just want to say thank you from us and from the whole community. This concludes today's program. Be well, be safe, and get out in the sunshine.